Welcome back to the Straw Hat Duo. I'm Charlie, and today we're going over chapter 1069 of One Piece. And I do believe this is actually going to be the last chapter of this year. We're going to be figuring out with this chapter what devil fruits are. It's still a little vague. But before we get into that, we picked up some disc plates. There's one, there's a second, third. Even though I'm big into One Piece, this is probably one of my favorites. Little sleeves. So those are going to be sitting behind me right there for the rest of this video. Back into chapter 1069. As I said, we get to learn what Vegapunk is explaining to be the origin of devil fruits. This is a really big chapter, major info dump chapter, and we get to see Luffy and Lucci fight once more. So the cover story is the Germa 66's Emotionless Voyage. It's volume 26. It's the Mads Laboratory, which is a ship, and it's sailing across the sea. It looks like it's a steamboat. See the Loan Shark King, yeah, whatever his name is. It seems like he's the one that funded the whole thing. Fitting for a loan shark. So we pick up this chapter right where we left off on the last chapter. It is the citizens of Egghead running away from CP0, screaming that Atlas had been defeated. We see Luffy and his little crew there carrying Bonnie. They take note. It's like, wait a second. They really going after Vegapunk? Luffy mentions, wait, Pigeon Guy, what are you doing here? Lucci's like, this is a government island. That should be my question. Luffy's like, oh yeah, that's right. Wait a minute. As he's getting ready to just kind of walk away because it doesn't really matter, he notices Atlas laying there defeated. Kaku, he's sitting there. He's like, how irritating. It's the Straw Hat crew. And Jewelry Bonnie is also here. But even so, don't lay a hand on him, Lucci. Now that Straw Hat became a Yonko, we can't fight him without permission from the top brass. We see the weight of what Luffy is now. People can't just engage him in fights and expect it to be without consequence, much like Whitebeard going to fight Marineford. That was a large-scale war, and that was only set to be with one emperor. That's the level that Luffy's on now. That's the power he holds. So he runs over to Atlas and notices she's all beaten and bruised. He's like, you're the person who gave us food. That means you're my friend. He goes, hey, Chopper, come do what you can with her. Fix her up. And Chopper's like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. This is more Frankie's forte. He's the cyborg. Lucci in the background, he's like, I know that fighting them would not be a good idea, but it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna take him on anyways. We cut over to Marineford for a short period of time, and we see a long neck dude talking to Akainu. He gets a report that Straw Hats are at Egghead Island, which I didn't see any of them with transponder stale. Oh wait, nope, never mind. Strussie here tells the CP0 members there to, hey, report this to the Marines immediately. So that's how the Marines get to know that Straw Hat crew is there. But Akainu is just like, if Vegapunk is aligning with the Straw Hats, it's going to be a big hit to the world government in general. So what's Kizaru doing? Kizaru had apparently already headed out to the island. So he's already on the way. Undetermined amount of time before he gets there. He's on the way there, and he says, make sure Lucci does not, attack. Wait for the Marines' arrival. He's like, he must not fight against the Straw Hats at all costs. And of course, the very next scene is Lucci and Luffy fighting. Chopper's running away, and Jinbei's running away with Atlas over his shoulder. He's like, hey, Luffy, know your stance here. This will become a big incident. So we then cut over to lab. Inside the lab. Wait, what the heck? Lucci always look like that? There's too many L's. Lucci, Lucy, because Shayna was just watching Dressrosa. And then Luffy. They're like, hey, wait a minute. Lucci always look like that? And Vegapunk number 1, he's like, what speed? This is a rare sight. Most awakened zone powers tend to overwhelm the user's mind. And then we see Lucci. And he looks like a leopard standing upright. He's got the menacing look of the leopard without being all bulky like he used to be. He's slimmed down a lot, so he's probably a lot faster. But he's also got a black flame around him, similar to how Luffy has the white smoke around him in Gear 4th. and similar to how it is in Gear 5th as well. See here, it's labeled the cat fruit model leopard awakened form. So it is confirmed that he is awakened by both Vegapunk and the key card here. At this point, the real Vegapunk shows up. He's like, Shaka, that's the name. Shaka. Is he on the screen? The White Warrior? And the Straw Hats are shocked. Frankie's got hearts in his eyes. He's like, whoa, it's the real Vegapunk. How'd he get here so fast? Vegapunk kind of looks at Nami. He's like, hey, you wouldn't happen to know the story behind Straw Hat's transformation. Do tell. Nami's like, yeah, we're not really sure, to be honest. Isn't it one of his gum powers? And we get another good view of Luffy in Gear 5th, just kind of above Lucci, laughing. Vegapunk's like, it's funny that you mentioned that because you see the old Devil Fruit encyclopedia. There's no mention of the gum fruit in there. Usopp's, he's like, I mean, you say that, but that's what Luffy's always called it. Vegapunk's just kind of absorbing all the information here. He's just staring at it. He looks just like that god described in the ancient texts. And Sanji here, he's like, God? Are you senile? That's just Luffy. But at that point, we see Luffy, and we see the sound effect for the drum, the doom dot dot. His heart's doing the sound of liberation, or the drum of liberation. That's what it was. Vegapunk goes and says, I speak of a warrior, the warrior of liberation, whose antics could bring a smile to anyone's lips, also known as the sun god Nika. Nami chips in. She's like, Nika, never heard of that name. Vegapunk's like, yeah, well, it's natural. It's been erased from history. And yet, as long as people's desires persist, such a thing will never cease to be. We owe all there is to desire. For instance, the devil fruits. And Nami's like, wait, huh? On this panel, we actually get a view of Luffy and Lucci, clashing fists, punching each other. And it's remnant to one of the first times they fought when they actually clashed and they were serious. But we see a few panels here where Luffy's just it appears to be toying around. He's, dodging Lucci. He's not fighting just yet. He's just dodging. Get one view of him with his eyes popped out as Lucci's charging up at him. We see Lucci doing what we'll later find to be named handgun, like the finger pistol, but instead of finger pistol, it's handgun. See him doing that a bunch of times, similar to Luffy's Gatling. And Luffy's just kind of got his head, like his own head, and he's pulling it around, dodging him. Actually, there's actually multiple pictures here. So one of the heads, it's a big, like, really cocky grin on his face. One's kind of a smug kid, I guess. One of the heads there is just completely asleep, like he's bored with dodging him. On this next panel, we actually see them actually clash fists, and we see like some Conqueror's Haki kind of emanate off. Whether Lucci has Conqueror's Haki or not is not confirmed, but pretty much they're both blown back from that hit, and they just start bouncing around the battlefield. On this page is where we find out the quote-unquote origin of devil fruits. Vegapunk says, devil fruits are a manifestation. I'm not even going to try and say that word again. Good enough. Of the desire to see how different paths of evolution can play out. Such as, gee, I wish I could do this, or if only we could do that, and actualize those wishes. Each one of those showcases a different possibility for the future of humanity. So the different thought paths that evolution of the human race could go. So that's what he's saying it is. It's changing reality, so to say. But these deviations are, of course, unnatural. So it makes sense that they attract the ire of Mother Nature, the sea itself. One who has eaten a fruit lives a total alien existence born out of limitless permutations of imagination. He goes, that's my theory at least. Whether you believe there's a God out there or not, one thing's for sure. We live in a wondrous world. And all the Straw Hats, other than Nami, doesn't showcase Nami. It shows Robin, Sanji, Frankie, and Usopp. And they're just kind of shocked to be hearing this. But what he's saying is the devil fruits are created of an unnatural being, manifesting people's imagination, so to say. And Mother Nature, the sea, as it would be, looks at that as alien. It's not supposed to be there. It doesn't belong, so that's why they can't swim. The sea denies its existence. Therefore, if something doesn't exist, it can't do something within something else. It is how I'm reading it. There's a large debate on how that should have been translated, and I don't know Japanese whatsoever. So I'm just reading it due to this translation. When the official translation comes out, who knows? We might get more info. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, we go off into the next panel and we see Luffy flying back out of the smoke laughing, and we see Sentomaru. Sentomaru goes, what do you want, Grandpa Punk? No, it was my day off. What are we doing? It seems pretty cut and dry. Cypher pole's on our side, the pirates are the enemy, so I gotta back up CP0, right? And Vegapunk's like, not quite actually. And we see Sentomaru with the 3 Seraphims there, Hawk, Boa, and Jinbei. Vegapunk's like, no, CP0's here to kill me, so could you fend off CP0? Sentomaru's like, that would make me a traitor. So that would make me an enemy of the government. That's a big decision. Vegapunk plays the pity card here. He's like, yeah, never mind me, Sentomaru. I only took you in when you were starving. Please do whatever you feel right. And Sentomaru, he's like, twist my arm, why don't you? At this point, we get a zoomed out view with Esper and the other Seraphims there. Kaku's like, this will be tricky. He's got 3 Seraphims. Esper, take one out. And Strucy is like, it's no use, Kaku. We're at a handicap here. Esper, get rid of those suits. Sentomaru tells Kuma, Seraphim, to get rid of the CP0. Kaku's like, fiddlesticks, I forgot. His orders trump the authority chip we have. Esper starts to attack. We get a kind of chain of command for what the Seraphims are. It's the Pacifista command hierarchy. At the top is the 5 elders. Probably Eam at the very top of that, but not entirely sure. Then it's Vegapunk and the Stella plus satellites. And then it's Sentomaru. And then it's anyone with an authority chip. So pretty much Sentomaru trumps the CP0 at this point. Strucy also states that they cannot take orders via transponder stale. So the 5 elders can't even help at this point. And Kaku's like, come to think of it, destroying one of these things would be a big loss for the government. Would it kill you to look before you leap, Lucci? And at this point, we get to see a brand new move from Luffy. Gum Gum Mole Pistol. Pretty much what it does is, because he's in gear 5th, reaches down, does pretty much a Gum Gum pistol straight at the ground, but goes through the ground, and because it turns to rubber because he's in gear 5th, reaches out the ground with the ground still around his fist and comes up and punches Lucci right in the gut. He coughs out blood. At this point, Sentomaru says, S-Snake, the Boa Seraphim, lead the Straw Hats to the vacuum rocket, see them through to the Frontier Dome. S-Hawk and S-Shark suppress CP0. They back up the Straw Hat. I don't think that's going to be a regular. A little bit later on in this chapter, you'll see why. I think the Straw Hats are going to have to fight the Seraphim. So at this point, Chopper and Jinbei are running away. Jinbei's like, hey, Chopper, are my eyes playing tricks on me? Chopper's like, no, I thought he looked familiar. Those brown guys look like ex-warlords. Don't tell me they cloned us. And Jinbei kind of looks shocked, disappointed, surprised. He doesn't really look mad, but he definitely has a mix of emotions on his face as he's running away. At this point, we see Luffy and Sentomaru meet up, and Luffy's like, oh, Battle Axe, long time no see. Sentomaru's like, don't nickname me up based on my weapon. We're not friends. Anyways, are you actually gonna help Vegapunk escape? Luffy's like, yeah, he asked me. Don't sweat it. Sentomaru's like, I'm not sure I could trust you. You're an emperor after all. What's with your appearance? And right at that moment, Lucci comes in and hits Sentomaru, looks like dead center of the chest. Takes him right off his feet. I can't tell if it just stuck his hand through him or just did damage, but takes him out in one hit with his handgun. At this point, Luffy's like, Battle Axe. He looks sad, and Sentomaru's laying on the ground, just coughing up blood, covered in blood, looks to be completely unconscious. Lucci's like, all we had to do is take the head off the snake. Now the Seraphims obey us. So I have a feel, and that's the end of the chapter. Break next week. Like I said, I think this is the last chapter of the year. I'm not 100% sure on that. Either way, we'll find out next week. I think the Straw Hats are going to have to fight the Seraphim to an extent. Vegapunk may have a way to take control of them without being within general vicinity, but who knows? He created them. He may even just, let them fight it out for a little bit to see how it plays out. Vegapunk, this is great research material. Even though he wants to get out of there, Luffy can obviously take Lucci. So if it's just a matter of that, who cares? Seraphim would definitely give more of an edge to Lucci, but if Vegapunk can take care of them, that's not a problem. Then the only question is at that point, Kizaru. How long it's going to take him to show up. On top of that, I think Kizaru and Sentomaru are related. Okay, never mind. So I was thinking that Sentomaru was related to Kizaru because I believe he called him uncle, but in Japanese it was just more or less a word for respect. So they may not be related. Who knows? They might be. But yeah, so at that point it leaves Kizaru as the variable. Can Luffy fight Kizaru on even keel after fighting Lucci? I don't think so. Luffy is extremely powerful at this point, but we have not seen Kizaru go all out. We don't know how strong he is. You know, he's lazy. We know he's lazy, but we don't know how strong he is. So he could very well be, actually, of the admirals, he is almost certainly the strongest. He's got the most experience. I don't know who's got more experience, him or Aki Inu. But either way, he's on a similar level as Aki. So he could very well be a major threat to the Straw Hats. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen. Coming up next year, it's looking probably. How's the fight going to go between CP0 and the Straw Hats? Are the Straw Hats going to get away pretty much unscathed and just kind of be on their way and it's just going to build to a later story arc? Or is something going to have a resolution here? Let me know in the comments below and we'll see you in the next one.